Hi, everyone. My name is Kyle Burton. As Natalie introduced me, I am the Gen 3 technical lead for the BDC powered by Gen 3, which is a component of the larger BDC ecosystem. Been a software engineer for quite a long time, and I'm excited here to talk about some of the efforts that we put into bringing DOIs into the BDC ecosystem. So just some of the background for BDC, we have introduced DOIs at the dataset level. Now in BDC, when we refer to a dataset, there's a more technical explanation down there at the bottom, but in short, for a given dbGaP study, there's multiple consents. We authorize at the consent level, and likewise, we organize our data sets at the consent level. So take a dbGaP study, it's got 2 or 3 consent groups within it. Those are 2 or 3 data sets for that study. So what we've done for DOIs is we have created a persistent identifier for each one of these data sets. The reason that we've done this is because we believe that DOIs are a great way to promote research reproducibility and data fairness, and I'll go into that in a little bit. And because they are persistent, they will last for a very, very long time, and they are not something that BDC or Gen 3 or NHLBI is just cooked up in the dark. They are a standard that was certified by the International Organization for Standardization. I don't have the ISO number here listed, but if you're really curious about it, you can check it out on Google or check it out on the ISO page later. So, like I said earlier, we have minted DOIs for all BDC data sets. There's an example right here. This link will resolve. I'm not going to click it right now because it'll take me out of the presentation. But as new data sets are added to BDC, so whenever we bring in a new study and that study's got multiple consents, we're going to create DOIs for each one of those. Now, this is just a hyperlink. So why do we care about these hyperlinks? Well, one of the real nice benefits to this is because it is a persistent identifier, it ensures that the link to this data will remain stable over time. So, we've all used the web in the past. We've all had hyperlinks that we've had in our notes or we've had in our papers. Links move, pages move, websites go defunct, links resolve to nothing. Now, the nice thing about a DOI is this DOI will always resolve. Doesn't matter if that data set changes places, if it's in Gen 3, if it's in some other system later on down the road, as long as this link is updated, as long as the metadata for this link is updated, this will always resolve. And it will always point to the data set that the researcher cited in their paper or sent to their colleague. DOIs are also prefixed, allowing for the easier tracking for that data set source. So we have the BDC prefix here. This makes it easy for us to realize if a data set came out of BDC or not. And then, like I said, this ensures that these citations using DOIs never result to dead or missing information. And like I said earlier, when you share that DOI for a data set that you use in an analysis, it won't result to dead or missing information, especially if you send it to a colleague and it takes them a couple of weeks to get back to you. That DOI will always result to that data set. Another benefit is what we like to call metadata richness. So again, DOIs provide a standardized, rich metadata for data sets. This metadata includes the title for the data set, so Framingham Heart Study, consent 1, the author of that data set, information on how to access that data set, the publisher, and more. This provides a very consistent way to cite data sets that you find in BDC. Since that metadata includes the version information for the data set, we update versions all the time in BDC. It's part of our monthly ingest process. You can reproduce the analysis of that data. You can reproduce analysis more accurately because the DOIs that were associated with that analysis will point to the version of the data set that was used. So as we add new versions, data sets change all the time. That DOI will always point to the version that was used right back here. And it's interoperable. Like I said, DOIs were not something that was created in a lab by Gen 3, U Chicago, NHLBI, or BDC. It's the same with the metadata. It has to follow an ISO standard. So as long as any client or any other system is familiar with that standard, it's easy for them to integrate without us having to turn over a whole bunch of documentation. And it's also machine readable, which is always a big win for the technical folks on the call. So we talked a lot about like what DOIs are, where they go. For the current effort that we've implemented, DOIs must have a landing page. This is part of the specification. So where do they go? Right now, it goes to the Gen 3 BDC discovery page. And this landing page is required to contain information about the data set. So we have a nice description about the Women's Health Initiative, contact information and access support, and a nice little citation here in case you want to cite this in a paper. And then there's some additional metadata about the data set, like who it was funded by, when it was published, contributors, things like that. And then just for a quick demo, I'm going to actually click on one of these. I apologize, you're going to see the screen blink for a second. So I promise you there was no special magic there. I just clicked the DOI link and it resolves to this page in our Gen 3 discovery, and it's the same page that I showed in the PowerPoint presentation. Again, this page is intended to stay stable. This link is intended to stay stable over time. They are registered with an organization called DataCite. So even if all of this goes away, the DOI metadata that contains all the information about this data set still in DataCite and will be there for a very long time.